Happy Tuesday. There's always this weirdness where you just stare at the screen. Like, I watch other people go live, and within those first 30 seconds or a minute, and you're literally just staring at the screen. What's up, Peter? What's going on? Staring at the screen, and you're like, it's like weird because you're just quiet. But, anyways, I keep saying every week that I want to like make this thing 20 minutes short, and every time I go over the 20-minute mark. So we're gonna try this again. We're gonna see how fast we can do it in 20 minutes. So gonna get started. I guess I won't waste any time with that. But hi, welcome to the 18th episode of Cimifly Live the Entrepreneur's Journey. I am your host, Cecil Williams. So before we get started with the topic today, I'm going to read a message from our sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you by Royal Dynamite, self-expression through fashion to facilitate change. Royal Dynamite believes that culture can drive change in communities around the world through fashion, collaboration, and creativity. Royal Dynamite uses our collective love of fashion to inform, educate, and inspire communities around the world. So go check us out, royaldynamite.com, and check out some of our hats, t-shirts, sweaters. It's sweater season if you're in the US or the UK or wherever in the world. And if you're looking to go to somewhere in hot West Africa this Christmas, get your tank tops, t-shirts, whatever you need. So check it out. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about commitment. This is an interesting topic. I'm going to try to keep it short with this one, but I'll preface this by saying, in terms of commitment, think about it. This is my 18th episode. I've made a commitment. I've said this a bunch of times. I've made a commitment to do these lives once a week for the rest of the year. So I am taking action, and I'm not just saying, hey, I think I want to do this. I'm not making a promise. I'm actually making a promise, and I'm fulfilling that promise. So I'm making a commitment to myself, and I'm making a commitment to my audience and the people who would watch this. So I just wanted to start with that. But normally, as I like to start with some quotes. We discuss those quotes and then leave you with either some actionable items that you could use to help you better keep yourself accountable to commitment and stuff like that. So we're going to get started. So the first one is, I wanted to start with the definition of commitment: the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause or activity. So I mean, just like it says, you want to be dedicated to something, and I think that's a key word. But transitioning to the first quote is, we cannot be sure of having something to live for unless we're willing to die for it. Che Guevara. I think that I saw it. It was the first one I saw, and I said, this is extreme, but ultimately, I think it makes sense. Commitment is something, if you want to commit to something and be good at it, show up, or just be excellent, greatness, whatever it is, you have to be willing to die for it. If you want to get better at something, I mean, think about athletes. Think about somebody who makes it to the NFL, the NBA, the Premier League. Like how committed these people were, how committed the people around them were to get to realize their dreams. They were willing to die for it, and that's a higher level of commitment. And I'm not saying they get a pass. Really, what I'm saying is, if you want to get good at something, if you want to be committed to something, if you want to be able to accomplish something, that's the kind of commitment that you need to have. It starts small. It's not like one day you wake up and you're just going to change your life and commit. But it starts with getting it together. And if you go and listen to my promo video that I put out after here, it says commitment. If you don't commit, then all it is just hopes and dreams. There's no plan. So you want to make a commitment to that. Now, next is, unless commitment is made, there you go. Unless commitment is made, there are only promises and hopes, but no plans. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Most of us say we're going to do something. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But we never get around to doing it. We make promises to our friends. We make promises to people. We make promises to do things. I'm going to go there tomorrow, and we never commit to doing this. Then you become a flaky person. People just see you as like, yeah, that guy, he says he's going to do this, he's not going to do that, or whatever. Now, you have to make sure your commitments and the things you promise to do are not just false promises or empty promises and hopes. You have to actually commit to doing them. The next one is something in human nature causes us to start slacking off at our moment of greatest accomplishment. As you become successful, you would need a great deal of self discipline not to lose your sense of balance, humility, and commitment. George W. Bush. Now, I'm going to throw a curveball in this one with that, but essentially, yes, I think most people get to a level of success and that they fall off because they think they've made it. They think they've gotten to the mountaintop. And I'll say this, and this is maybe a touchy topic, and I'm not going to get into it from a perspective of all the noise that's going on around it, but today's the perfect time to bring this up. So think about what's going on with Kanye West right now. I think the man has a mental health problem, and I was discussing this with my wife and we were saying he needs help, but ultimately he's committed to his success. He's gotten there. And one of the arguments I was making today was he says he's jealous of the Jewish community. And you kind of say, okay, I see where he's coming from with that one. But ultimately, what I'm saying is those people have spent however long to build their money, their power, and their respect, their community. And that community has an immense level of commitment to togetherness, to unity. And when it comes to the Black community, unfortunately, we don't have that. And there's a bunch of reasons why we don't. So all I'm saying in this particular one to the commitment is you get to the top of, oh my God, so sorry. My son decides to come in and walk. So you guys are going to be seeing him running around here and doing his stuff. But anyway, he's here and I got to get him out. So give me 1 second. I am so sorry. This is the first time he had to get up where he walks in and he doesn't want to give me time to do this. But anyways, what I was saying was, and this is such an important thing that he kind of cut me off right in the middle of what I was trying to say, but ultimately is most of these institutions, or if you take like the Rockefellers, the JP Morgans, and all these institutions, they've amassed billions. And as a result of that economic power, they have, I mean, exactly that economic power. So they have the money, the power, and the respect. Kanye gets to the top and he becomes a billionaire. Okay, most recently, whatever, as a result of all the things that he's doing, he's worked hard for it. But I feel like he literally just got to the top and he starts misbehaving. And now he's slacking off and he's had a moment of weakness, and he's let all that stuff just literally go just like that, poof. And maybe it might not be the best example, but it, like the thing says, you have to practice a great deal of self-discipline, a sense of balance, humility, and commitment. I don't think he's a humble person anymore. Maybe there's arrogance that's filled in it, whatever. Like I said, I'm not going into his mental health issues, but ultimately I'm just using this as an example of human nature. We get to the top. Like, he hasn't even gotten to the top. He literally just broke the mold of becoming a billionaire recently, and he's literally now in the club, and he decides to say, I'm going to just slack off. I think I have permission to say and do whatever I want to do. And as a result of that, he loses his commitment to the people, the culture that follow him, that say, hey, you're going to take us to the summit. You haven't gotten there yet. I mean, you are in, but you're not deeply into that yet. You're not committed to it, to get every one of us to say, hey, we're with you. We're going to follow you. And we see this as an example of what you've done, and this is what we want to do. So, I mean, it happens with a lot of people in life, athletes and things of that nature. People get to the top and they just slack off for whatever reason. So keep that in mind and understand that commitment is, like most of the things that I preach, solving the puzzle of life. What's up? What's going on? How you doing? So commitment is something that I think it's long term. Everything I talk about, I want people to understand that as this is it's a journey, the entrepreneur journey. Everything is about longevity, entrepreneurship, learning the skill set, becoming the best father, becoming the best husband, anything, any one of that. It's a journey, because ultimately the destination, I always tell people, is bleak. It's death. We die and we go away. So everything between birth and death is a journey. So however you choose to live that journey, be mindful of it, be humble, and have a sense of, I'm not gonna say balance, because I don't believe there's balance, especially when you're pushing to accomplish some of the things that you need. You have to figure it out. Every so often you kind of tip the scale, and it goes up and down. But think about that. So yes, like I said, if you're not committed to your goals, it's simple. You will fail. There is no other way around to say that. If you're not committed to your goals, you will fail. When you dream of certain things, we all, I mean, I'm a big dreamer, but when you dream of things, you have to put a plan in place to be able to execute it. You cannot just say, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. You need a plan. You need to execute it. You need to take action every day to doing the things. You need to be resourceful. You need to have the tools. You need to have the network, the people around you, to make sure these things happen. I mean, it's commitment is literally the difference between average people and people who go on to conquer. I mean, and even in his case with Kanye West, like, he committed to his craft. I remember, if you go into Genius or you go back to his story, when he said he wanted to be a rapper, and everybody labeled him as a producer. And he said, I'm not going to give up. He committed to his craft. He committed to his trade, and he proved himself. He was there, committed every day to proving them that he wasn't just a producer. I mean, he became a super producer, but he became one of the most influential, I guess, musicians, artists, rappers of our time. And that's all because he committed to something. But now, going to what it said, I think he got to the top of the mountain and just literally unraveled. He didn't do what it needed to take to stay there and take it all in and say, okay, now that I'm at the top, how many people can I bring with me? So think about that as we go into commitment. Think about what you've been wanting to do, what you've been putting off, because I'm not going to sit here and say I'm perfect. I'm not going to say I commit. I mean, it took me a while to even commit to coming online to doing these lives, because I had all kinds of fear. I had all kinds of excuses. Oh, I don't know. I don't like how I sound in front of the camera. I don't like how I look. I don't like how I this. And if you keep making excuses, you will fail. Ultimately, and this is not failing at life. It's just a failure at a task, failure at a step. But these, I guess, connected things. Like, I mean, ultimately, if you want to be happy with your life, you have to commit to certain things, and you have to go ahead and do them. Nobody's saying it's going to be easy. These are not things that are going to be easy at all. But you have to just commit to it, and you have to go forward and doing it. So, like I told you, I wanted to make this short because I didn't want to make this too long. Now, in order for you to commit to being able to get things done and take action, I think there's a few things that you need to commit to, or you need to be able to do. Now, you commitment is a selfish thing. You have to make it about you. You have to tell it. You have to have a conversation with yourself. What do I want to do? What are the consequences if I don't do these things? And once you make it about yourself, then you internalize, and you kind of figure these things out in your mind and say, okay, this is what I need to do. This is the plan. This is how I'm going to get there. I mean, the rest of the world will help you, or the rest of your network will help you how to get to these things. And now you have to see beyond your goal. So if we take it very tangibly, where I say my goal is to run a marathon by next Thanksgiving. So this is about a year from now. I have to see beyond my goal. I mean, that is beyond the goal. I mean, that's saying, hey, I want to run a marathon. I mean, I have to make it all about myself. Now, what am I going to do about running a marathon next Thanksgiving? I have to train. A marathon is 26.5 miles. I have to train to run that marathon. I have to take measurable progress. I have to start running. Maybe at first I start jogging, going to the gym, jogging. Maybe I start with jogging a mile for a month, and then I get used to, what's up, Ken? And then I say, okay, you missed my Kanye rant, but hey, maybe you can go watch this later on and check it out anyways. But then I say, okay, I'm gonna go at every quarter. I should be tackling maybe or by 6 months I should be tackling 13.25 miles or whatever the case might be, which is the half of the marathon. So you have to be able to track your progress. And I mean, having like, let's say an Apple Watch, like every time I go to the gym, I track the amount of calories I burn, the amount of time I spend. So these kinds of things. I mean, now that relates to anything that you're doing, whether it's business, whether it's your skill set, you're learning, education, what all these things, you have to be able to track your progress. If you can't track it, it's not happening. And ultimately, you're not going to get to your goal. You also have to set a short-term goal. If I want to run a marathon next Thanksgiving, I have to be able to run 5Ks, 10Ks between now and then. I have 12 months to do that. I cannot just say, hey, I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to just train. And the only thing that I'm going to do to check my progress is I'm going to wait till the day of the marathon and I'm going to see if I can run that marathon. Again, you have to have progress and you have to celebrate every win. So if I go run my 5K, I win. I have to encourage myself to building up the momentum to that. I can't just say, well, forget it. I'm going to run my marathon. I'm going to wait till next year to run this marathon. I have to practice. I have to have my short-term goals, which is me saying I'm going to run a 5K. I'm going to run a 10K. I'm going to do these. I'm going to run enough of these things. And every time I complete one of these, I have to celebrate what I've accomplished. And then you have to look at the lasting impact. What's the impact of this to, in this case, it's about you. It's about your well-being. It's about accomplishment. It's about setting goals and actually committing to it. There's more things you can think about if you commit to, let's say, empowering people to financial literacy or empowering people to live in a healthy life. Now, the impact with that would be, okay, people lose weight, people live a better life, they live longer. Financial literacy, people are able to save more, people spend less, people are able to get become financially free. These are some of the impacts of these things. And then you get more accountability. Going back to my marathon stuff, now I could find an accountability partner. I then say, I want to run a marathon, but if I'm just going to figure this out by myself for 12 months till next Thanksgiving, I might not get there. And then what happens? I fail. I don't tell anybody I'm going to do this. I don't find somebody who's going to do it with me. So if I stop 6 months from now, nobody ever knows, but it's going to eat me up inside because I made a promise to myself that I failed. It goes to what I said about unless commitment is made, there are only promises and hopes, not a plan. But because I'm verbalizing this and I'm putting it out there in the world, I'm able to say, okay, first, I'm going to tell the world that I'm going to run a marathon next Thanksgiving. Then everybody now knows and probably will be checking for me every so often to see what I'm doing. Then I said, I'm going to get an accountability partner. Somebody else who's going to want to run this marathon with me. Somebody who's going to push me. Somebody who's competitive. Now that there's accountability. And then lastly, just have to plan wisely. You pace yourself. You don't start... You're not Superman. None of us are. We're not going to be any of that. But we have to plan and make sure we get those goals. We get to those. We get the outcome, which is running the marathon. Nobody says you're going to finish whatever, but you want to be able to do that. So I'll go over this again. If you want to make a commitment to anything, make it all about you. Yes, it's a selfish thing, but you have to make it all about you first. You have to see beyond your goal. You have to look at the bigger picture. Yes, you want to go run this marathon. You have to track measurable progress. You have to be able to make sure you can track what you're about to do. Every time I practice, every time I run, I need to know how far I'm going, what pace I'm doing it at. Because if I cannot track my progress, I do not know if I'm making any progress at all. I do not know if my commitment to running this marathon is working. Then you have to have short-term goals. Yes, before I get to that marathon, I'm going to do a 5K, I'm going to do a 10K. When I finish that 5, then you have to celebrate every win. When I finish that 5K, I'm going to celebrate. When I finish that 10K, I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to tell everyone because we're all in this together. Then you have to look at the long-lasting impact for me. Running this marathon maybe means something to me for my family. I'm doing this in honor of my family. I'm doing this in honor of someone. Or I'm just doing this to be fit and healthy. Then you have to look at get more accountability. Get a partner. Tell the world what you're doing. I mean, it's not about bragging because running a marathon, there's nothing braggadocious about that. You're just wanting to have accountability and then plan to get yourself there. So think about this. Commitment is one of the cornerstones to success. Commitment is one of the cornerstones to happiness. when we commit to things and execute on them, we feel better about ourselves. It is a selfish thing, but you have to be selfish in order to be selfless. You have to love yourself first, and you have to know what your goals are. You have to know what you want to do in life in order for you to be able to help somebody else. You can't go helping people when you yourself you don't know what your purpose in life is. So with that, I did say I was going to get 20 minutes, and I'm going to do this in 20 minutes, and I did it in 20 minutes. It's not like I was trying to rush, but I just felt like maybe sometimes I'm going in circles, which is my habit, and I'm spinning. But ultimately, hopefully, you get it. My goal is I'm 18 episodes into this. I've committed to doing this once a week for the rest of the year. So that's my commitment to you. Hopefully, you guys can show up. Share these when you get online with other people so we can all take this journey together and learn. If not anything, we can inspire each other to become better individuals in life and how we play this game of life. So I appreciate everybody who tunes in, everybody who comes on. Thank you guys very much. Love you all. Talk to you soon.